being able to do your own marketing, which every agent should be a salesperson and their own marketer, also really helps me to, do both and kind of fill both those buckets that I love.
The management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
We are live. Okay, fantastic, everybody. We were just making sure that we were live. So thank you so much, as always, LabCoatAgents, for taking the time to jump on here for another incredible live webinar. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. I am your humble host and moderator for today's incredible webinar. My name is Greg Fowler. I'm the founder of Lionbolt Media. And today we've got a very special guest and an incredible topic, high-powered open houses. And I cannot wait. Paul Santucci from beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. And Paul, I got to thank you for stopping by and taking the time. It's an honor.
Thank you so much. This is great. Once again, as we've talked about, I love giving back. So many things I've learned in the real estate business, owning my own firm, and the great people I work with. I love to pass it on.
Oh, this is incredible. And Paul, I love this topic because this is coming from a true practitioner, somebody who's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, 20 plus years in the business, and you being the owner of True North Realty. Absolutely incredible. And I do have to give you an East Coast shout out. I'm also in Massachusetts on the South Shore. So I'm just south of you, my friend. So it's always great to meet a fellow Massachusettsian. Isn't there a better way to say that? Hopefully I'm not.
Oh, there's a better way to say it, but I won't say it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But it's good to be representing the East Coast, Paul, for sure, and especially Mass. So I do want to dive into what everybody is super excited about, is really to elevate and accelerate their high-powered open houses and how to articulate that. I want to let everybody know, as always, that we'll be monitoring the chat. So if you got any thoughts, any questions, just drop it in there. I'll definitely be covering it. If we go throughout the webinar, that's great. But if not, we'll save it to the end. So drop any questions. We love engagement. But Paul, I want to start with you and your story, your background, kind of where you're from, what got you into the business, and where you are to today. Let's go there.
Okay, so I'm from New York, so I'm just south of where we were. And I grew up kind of blue collar. My dad drove a bread truck and he was an electrician, all of that. And it felt like salesperson was kind of a dirty word when we were growing up. It felt like someone's going to sell you something you don't need. And then as I grew up and I looked at my dad, I said, I don't want to really do that. I like to work with my hands, but that's a tough life. Went to college, did all that, second generation, third generation, all that stuff. So with all that in mind, I started to learn how to be, what a salesperson is, and realizing you're just really selling your service and you're helping people. Once you think about that, that's really how I got into the mentality. Started in real estate, worked in Boston for 15 years, opened up my own firm with my amazing business partner a couple of years ago. And now I'm kind of in the burbs just north of Boston.
Oh, I love that. And again, just kind of the story and structure, Paul, it's so great to kind of see the evolution. And I got to ask you though, and I tend to ask this question because I'm just naturally curious, why real estate? What was it in the back of your mind, taking it back to that point? What was it about to kind of take that leap for you? Why did you decide to go down there? Because there's so many different opportunities as an entrepreneur and in sales. Why? What's the why?
Okay, so I was in the creative field. I actually wrote a little bit for television. I was in animation. I was working in comedy a little bit. It's kind of a crazy thing. So then I got into, the birth of the internet. I started doing, building mom and pop internet sites. So I got hired by a real estate company, a fledgling one, and they said, hey, do you want to be our marketing director? I said, sure. I started building websites, et cetera, et cetera. So I got into the marketing side. And as I had the marketing side, I would sit there and do, websites for people and their online marketing and all this stuff as the marketing director. And then these agents would come in and out and they would say, oh, thanks for the $15,000 check to the boss. I'm going to wherever. So I was like, I don't like to sit behind a desk. I like to be out there. This is the most I'm going to be sitting at a desk all day today. So I said, I like the business. I don't really want to be behind this computer, but I want to keep doing the marketing. So being able to do your own marketing, which every agent should be a salesperson and their own marketer, also really helps me to, do both and kind of fill both those buckets that I love.
Ah, well said. That's incredible. And thanks for taking the time for the intro and everything that way, Paul. I think it adds a lot of context to who everyone through LCA is going to be learning from today, right? So I think that is crucially important. So I do want to get into the main topic, which is high-powered open houses. And strategically, as it's listed, there's a dynamic strategy to gain 4 new clients in 1 weekend. So I want to get why did this start? How did you figure this out? And the strategy in your mind, kind of just unpacking that for everybody here today, Paul, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, let's do it. So I started in Boston. Boston's tough. I started in South Boston. Some of the rumors are true. Some of them are not so true. They're, been made up a little bit, but it's a tough place to cut your teeth. And my boss at that time, my broker, would say, hey, call anybody, call your mom, call your aunt, sell something, whatever. So it's trial by fire. I made a lot of mistakes. And then I thought there was this formula how to do things. I looked at other agents. Oh, you do this. This is how you get a listing. And then you throw out a bunch of postcards. Maybe you get the call. Maybe they pick you out of the hat to do all these things. And then now, as we kind of walk into where we are now, lead generation has changed so much, even in the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. When you have a listing, whether you are a new agent or whether you're a seasoned agent, getting a listing is hard. I don't know about the rest of wherever's experience, but we have a really tight fight for inventory. It is a struggle. So when you get one, congratulations, number one, when you get a listing. Number two, when you have one, it's the best lead generator there possibly can be. We think of this as agents. We always talk about, well, what should I do? Should I do more social media posts? Should I buy leads from Zillow or Realtor.com? Should I do mailers? Should I door knock? When you have a listing and an open house, they're knocking on your door. Leads are coming to you. And we all say, oh, if only that person would answer the phone, if only that person would get face to face with me, I can show them how valuable I am and what I offer in my service. These people are coming to the door. That open house is your store. You're opening up the door. They're coming to you. And they're there to buy 2 things. One is the home, but there's only one home that they can buy. So the 75 parties that come in, one home. The second thing is your value and service, and that's unlimited.
Wow. And again, breaking that down, Paul, it's huge. And I think as real estate professionals look at it and talking about pipeline building and lead generation and staying top of mind and how they're growing and scaling from month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, that's always in the back of every producer's mind. And it doesn't matter if you're brand new into the business or you're a seasoned pro, hundreds of millions in transactions. So what does the step look like? I guess I want to pick your brain a little bit that way, Paul, to say, why 4, right? Like why the number 4? And how are you able to accomplish that again and again? And I guess for anybody tuning in, how would they be able to duplicate or replicate your success with that?
Okay. So it should be at least 4. So everyone I'm currently working with right now, whether the buyers or sellers or even landlords, I met through a listing that I had. That is your best form of referrals and lead generation. So I realized that it's not an exact formula, but at least 4. So the 3 or 4 kind of buckets, if you will, are the neighbors, right? The neighbors or neighborhoods or locals that come to the open house. Number 2 are buyers that come into the open house that aren't represented. You should get at least 2 of those. So there's 1, 2, 3 at least. And the 4th, let's call it the seller referral when all is said and done. All the great things you did from the listing, that seller, their contacts you should get. So there's your 4 right there at least, right? Wow. And the 5th one is really from the seller. So it counts, but it doesn't really count for the open houses. But so let's say 4 from the open house and 5 for the seller. That's really, and so starting off as far as, let's talk about the neighbors, right? Yeah. And the neighborhood. So when you have an open house, I don't have to tell you to do videos and great photos and all of that. That's, obviously the simplest thing possible, right?
Sure.
What I do is, I engage the neighborhood. The first thing I do is I find a local store There's one in town that does like gourmet, gifts and, cheese. And it's kind of the store everybody goes in. It's, spend a lot of money on a sandwich. And they'll put my flyer in the window for an open house. On that flyer, I'll have a $50 gift certificate to that store. So it's cross promotional. They'll obviously do it in social media, whatever. And it's a giveaway at the end of the few open houses that I have. So, and the neighbors also are part of that too. But as far as, so that's the neighborhood. Obviously, you're posting on local Facebook sites and telling everybody about it, et cetera, talking to local agents. The neighbor's open house. Remember how a neighbor thinks when you see a neighbor come into your Saturday open house, they kind of slink in. I'm sorry, I'm the nosy neighbor, right? No, they are a lead for you because you're now, this is once again, they're not going to buy the house. This is your service that you're selling. They look at it and they go, wow, this person's going to do this for this house. This is what they could do for me or my friend or my neighbor. So you are selling your service. And here's a couple of things you could do. Number one, have what I call the nosy neighbor open house, which is an hour before the first Saturday open house, right? When you're doing open houses publicly, you want to do twilight ones, commuter open houses, whatever, back to back with broker open houses. But then the two on the weekends, please have at least an hour and a half, 2 hours for two on the weekends, please. So let's say it's a noon open house, 11 o'clock, you have the nosy neighbors open house, knock on their doors because you're inviting them. You're inviting them with the excuse of, I'm apologizing in advance because there's going to be a lot of traffic on the street because I'm hosting open houses. I've done a lot of media marketing. I expect this to be packed. So I'm going to do a giveaway, something like that or whatever. Thank you for coming. Maybe you have little treats or something like that. If this is and I'm talking about the burbs right now. So I'm going to use this example. There's a lot of other things we can do, but in the burbs, what I've done for some is I've actually knocked on the door and I've had a flyer that says free ice cream to, the neighborhood for thank you, right? So the ice cream truck comes down at 11:30. The neighbors are there. Free ice cream. I think I did like $250 or something like that. I had a mortgage broker split it with me. So their name was on it too. Kids in the neighborhood. So half an hour into the open house, they do it. The open house starts at noon. The truck is still there for a half an hour. What do people see when they pull up? An active neighborhood, kids around the neighborhood, kids running around, especially in the burbs. The demographic for that home is a family. That's what I'm going to do for that one. I have other strategies I can talk to people, whether it's a condo or a luxury home or anything like that, but let's stick with that. So then I get yep, go.
Yeah, I want to pause you there, Paul, just because this is incredible strategy and two key components that stick out to me amongst so many different takeaways. So everybody, I want to say you're welcome, by the way, because Paul took the time to be on here. This is incredible. But looking at it from engaging with the local entrepreneur or shop, and then the ice cream truck, sort of mentality. So what is the conversation like when you're engaging with that local business? And how does it go from your perspective? Because if somebody says, wow, brilliant, Paul, but how do I do that? Like, I'm not Paul, I've never done it before. So what would you say to somebody who wants to do that exact strategy there, I guess, with the first category?
Yeah, so I get a business that I'm familiar with, and I interact a lot with businesses, right, in my town. But let's just say I don't know, say it's 4 towns away. This isn't the stores I shop in. So I'll talk to the owner of the home and I'll say, what's your favorite restaurant? Tell me a couple of, where do you go buy a little? So then the owner, that's a good way to me to say, hey, I'm going to do a $50 gift certificate. Then I go into the store and I say, hey, by the way, the owner of the home that I'm about to represent loves this shop or this store or whatever it is. Do you mind if I'm going to have a $50 gift certificate giveaway to your store, to your shop? Do you mind if I put a flyer somewhere? Or, if they don't, some don't, I have a little thing, I've had them next to the whatever's on the, or is there a board that you have or whatever, and then they'll share it social media, all of that. So that's the conversation. I just say, my owner loves your shop. I want to do it. Who's going to turn down 50? And I said, and I give them the sheet. This is the sign-in sheet. It has your logo. I put it on there. So all of that. Now, oh, by the way, I'm going to spread it on social media. So that's how that starts.
Oof, brilliant. And the detail into that, Paul, is crucial. So again, whether you're saturated in the market, which everyone should be with their local, shops, restaurants, and any kind of entrepreneurial venture. But if you're not, there's other ways to figure that out. And I love that you're engaging with the client, you're engaging with the local community and building that up. That's to massive value. Why ice cream? I mean, I'm a huge fan. Who doesn't like an ice cream truck? I mean, and I love the brilliant nature of bringing the kids around. So what does that look like? Well, what got you to go down that road? Did you try anything else besides ice cream trucks? I mean, I'm just picking your brain here. This is great.
So I've done the whole treats inside the house, the little cookies. They're mortgage brokers those are great. Bake those cookies, do those also. But
Sure.
we talk about curb appeal. And I don't know about you. When I hear the ice cream truck, I'm excited. I'm thinking, how am I not going to buy something from this guy? I'm going to push middle schoolers away and say, I'm buying that. Get out of my way. I was here first. I am a child when it comes to that. So,
so good.
with that in mind, I get it. Who's not excited about it, as you said, especially there. It's another thing. It's a big thing. It shows the act, being active, and the treats are outside. Nobody's inside, nobody's inside. And especially when buyers come up, let's say a buyer has a family and they go, oh, did you see the ice cream truck? Now the kids are outside because you're dragging the kids to the open house. They see the ice cream truck and they just came from 3 open houses where they're tired, the kids or whatever. They got ice cream, or the first one they start and everything else after that doesn't have ice cream. Who's the best on the block right now? So
Paul, I love it. And the idea with partnering with your mortgage professional, I think is brilliant. And again, that helps everyone. So this is great. I don't want to slow this down because you're dropping massive information. So let's go to the next phase, right? What does that look like? So we talked about the neighbors and the neighborhood and your strategy there. Let's go down the line.
All right. So buyer open houses, right?
Yeah.
Often have several. We call them twilight ones here. You call them commuter ones. Know your audience. Who's going to buy your house? Where are they coming from? If it's families, you obviously got to do the weekends, right? But maybe one of the parents or, whoever it is, the caregiver, the grandparents, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not just talking about families, but let's face it, that's what I'm talking about here in the suburbs. Or it's a condo, it's a townhouse. Maybe one of them, it works from home. Everybody's working from home. So have a day one. Do it back to back with the broker open house, or have a commuter, or twilight, whatever. Maybe that, you have it and it's a good weather one, or it's near a baseball field, something like that. So somewhere where you think about your audience and then you say, how do I cater time wise besides just the weekend open houses?
Wow.
Yeah.
And having the thought process into that, I feel that not a lot of professionals go down that road. They think, hey, this is the norm or the regular, but diving deeper to knowing your audience, Paul, that's so brilliant. And you glazed over quickly early on because it should be kind of common sense at this point for saturation through social media, videos, photos, and doing all those things. But some of the most simplistic thoughts is, hey, who's your content for? Who are you trying to attract to that house that you're really wanting to work with now, but also into the future? Just to stop and take a moment and build a strategy around that is huge. I love that you do this. What's next? What's next?
Okay.
This is awesome.
So let's talk about the open houses. Number one, please make sure your sign looks good. Paint it. The chips, it's dirty. It doesn't look good. Here's a tip I've done. So let's say we have the little, square 4x4. Go to Home Depot, get one of those caps that go on a fence post. They light up at night. They have a little thing, they light up. They have the lights, put it on top, glue it on top at night. Somebody drives it. It's not going to illuminate it, but it makes the neighbors look, oh my God, look at this or whatever. And then it gives the seller, and that turns on the first night. That really gives the sellers a little bit of goosebumps. I got to tell you, they've complimented me on that. So signs everywhere when you're doing open houses, right? You're doing whatever it is, you have balloons, signs, everywhere. And once again, this is the neighborhood kind of thing. It's not to give people directions. You don't have to have an open house sign. People will find it. It's for, oh, True North Realty is doing this. Oh, your company's doing this. Balloons, whatever. This is, once again, look what this person does for this listing. So have several open houses. The second, you have an open house with another agent too, even if it's a condo, Okay. The one thing about that is make sure they know almost as much as you do about the house. because you don't want an agent who doesn't know anything. You don't just want to have somebody open up the door unless they're signing people in. But even if they're signing people in, they're going to get asked questions because you're going to be busy at that open house. So make sure they know a lot about that. You don't need to know everything, but please make sure you know a lot. At the open house, the collateral that you have, we obviously have the inclusions, exclusions, seller's disclosure, blah. We do a thing called Few Things I Love About This Home. So it's a love letter to the next buyer, right? And it's displayed. We have all these displays. And basically, it's, the last home I had was near a school, and a lot of people worried about the traffic. But the neighbors wrote, the owners wrote, one of the things I love is in the late fall, I hear the high school band playing, and it reminds me school's about to start. Or I love the fact that this home was the home that kids would come to walk to the ice skating rink outside and come in for hot chocolate. I love the fact the kids could walk to school. I love the fact that whatever is on the corner here. So that things I love about this home, that's there. The buyers walk in, that's the first thing they see. The second thing they see is 10 things I love. Frequently asked questions. So this is a cheat sheet for me too, right? Especially when you have 10 frequently asked questions. Why are the owners moving? Why are the owners selling? How old is the water tank? How old is this? Anything else we should know? Does the fireplace work? Blah, blah, blah. Those are there. That's your cheat sheet. Because when you talk to people, you want them to be informed and talk to you about other things besides the house, right? You want them to, how does this house make them feel? Not the nuts and bolts. Give them the nuts and bolts in the beginning. And then all these other, obviously, neighborhood information, local eateries, what to do in town. Some people might be coming and never been to the town that this open house is going on. So lots of information, so much information there. And of course, the giveaway.
Okay. You're just dropping it left and right, Paul. This is so good. This is so good. And as you mentioned, the love letter sort of scenario, and you were talking about the band and the hot chocolate after ice skating, and telling that story and getting it from perspective, that hits real hard. And I think that if you're not doing something like that, you're missing a massive opportunity. How do you go about capturing that information, Paul? Like, what's your...
I asked the seller, I said, what do you love about this home? Sit down. And I give an example of the last one, and some of them say, I'm sorry, there's tears all over this thing. I hope you can still use it. Because obviously I type it up or whatever, but that's usually, when I have conversations with a seller, when I'm doing a listing presentation, I'll say, what do you love about this house? Let's talk about that. There's going to be, okay, this is the water bill and this is the foundation. No, I want to hear what you love. That's what I'm going to market to people. That's what I'm trying to do. So that is going to help me in my marketing. And when I do a video, a quick reel, 30-second reel, this is the deck. Oh, this is the sunset at the deck, or this is, whatever about the lawn. And that's what I'm going to do. This is the finished basement, because that's what I'm going to capture. So I have a story to tell with the information they give me. It helps me also.
Oh, that's huge. And I love that you bring it into not just the physical, but the digital marketing aspect of it. And again, knowing your audience, what's going to connect, and emotions are so high. I mean, this is an emotional decision. These are really big things that are happening. And if you can get it from direct perspective, not Paul saying these things, but the individual who built those memories and lives, and now it's your opportunity to do the same. Huge strategy. Having the FAQs and really looking at it from a standpoint of knowing the community. Is there any strategy that you have behind that? So let's say, whether you do or you don't know the parks, the restaurants, the recreation, commute times, like, do you have a strategy going in to say that person, whether it's the other agent that's coming in, if you're bringing them in, or yourself, like, how do you dive deep into that content to relay it to the people that are there? Like, how do you do?
I try to, have listings where I can add value. Like, there are people call me and say, oh, let's call it the South Shore, right? South of Boston. That's to me, like, there be dragons there when it comes to real estate. Like, I know it, but I wouldn't necessarily go. So I know most of the towns that I deal in. If not, I would tell someone, hey, I appreciate it. I'm going to refer to somebody else. I'm not going to be as valuable, in this town 45 minutes away as I would be where I am. So let me give you an expert there. But so let's just say I'll ask the sellers, like, what do you tell me about? I'll drive around. You want to get that information, because the confidence that you get from having that information, whether it's the cheat sheet about the frequently asked questions, what the seller loves, or the neighborhood or the schools, that is going to give you confidence. So when you do talk to someone about the home, they come into your store, the open house, you know the product and not just the four walls that are surrounding you in that house.
Wow. Love it. Huge, huge stuff. When we're talking about this, Paul, and I want to keep going down the line here, let's talk about the seller side of it, right? So I guess that's the next category. Let's dive into there because this is great.
Well, do you mind if I talk about one thing about this, the buyers?
Oh, no, please
Okay,
do it.
good.
Please do. No,
I know
absolutely.
we're running out of time, but I just want to say this. When you have an open house, think about it from a buyer's perspective. They're coming in, they're anxious. What do they think about you? You're not the enemy, but you're somebody who holds the key to the kingdom. And remember, there's only one house. So greet them at the door. Say hello. Thank them for coming to the open house. Oh, thank you so much for coming. Just like, Glengarry, Glen Ross, there are no tire kickers. People came to the open house. They came to that house not to get out of the rain, to come to there, whether it's the neighbors or anybody else, there's no tire kickers. They're an eventual client or something somewhere or a referral to you. So treat them as such. And think about it from their perspective. They're anxious. They pull up in a Toyota. I drive a Toyota. And then the next family pulls up in a Mercedes and they're like, we're going to get outbid. The Mercedes family is here. So make them feel comfortable. Thank you so much for coming. Engage the kids. Sometimes I've done things where I'm like, hey, there's a middle schooler or whatever, say, you know what? This owner here loves birds. Count the number of birds as you go through the house, or do something, whether it's the ice cream or, hey, and tell the owner, that the buyers, hey, your kid can go downstairs and play with the toys. It's fine. Like that's what, because they're coming in, they're like, don't touch anything. They have the baby Bjorn in the stroller. When we go to that, hey, thanks so much for coming. And then it's, how did you hear about the open house? Why are you here? Tell me about what attracted you to this house. You saw it online. You saw it somewhere first. What was it about this home that makes you attracted to it? Oh, we're looking for a 4-bed. Okay, in this neighborhood specifically, there's usually 3 or 4 towns in my area that people will kind of be as the 4 towns. They'll say this, the same 4 towns all the time. So, oh, okay. So we talk about that. Oh, the master bedroom's important to you. Oh, you're outgrowing the whatever house. Okay, the finished basement, well, you're going to love this, or you're close to schools, or whatever it is, that information. And the other thing is, know the inventory and other homes that are on the market that are competing with you. Know them flat, because if they come in and they go, yeah, well, we saw this one, it's a little small, it's only 1,500. We really want 2,000, but we wanted to look at it. Have you seen 123 Main Street? My friend Cheryl, she's doing open house. She's awesome. Go see her. That has 2,000 square feet. So go to that house and tell them about the inventory. Tell them about the other things. Look like you know the value, add value all the time. And don't be afraid to talk about other. Oh, I saw that home. I previewed a great basement. You're going to love that, or whatever. Remember, there's only one house to sell, this one. So other than that, all the other buyers that are going to come in, they need, if they don't have an agent. If they do have an agent, treat the agent well. Be super respectful, but they don't really need you that much unless they really have questions. But don't be the agent that sits down and says, let me know if you have any questions to the buyer. No, engage them. Ask them why they're there. Ask them what's important to them. That selling is not telling. If you have to tell an adult, male and female, 35 years old, this is the fireplace, this is the dishwasher, what are we doing here? Like that's an adult telling you, no. What's important to you? Oh, that's great because it has a huge master closet or whatnot. That's what it is. Ask questions, because another agent's not going to do that. And then obviously you have their information, contact them. Hey, how did the open house go at 123 Main? Oh, great. You saw that? Oh yeah, Cheryl, she's awesome, right? Blah, blah, blah. So once again, you find that rapport. You're going to make connections with people. They're going to remember you. And that's really what you want to do. So you should be getting a couple of buyers out of that.
Oh, there's no way on this planet that it's not going to happen with that strategy behind it. I mean, the way you broke that down, Paul, this is a masterclass for open houses. I mean, and you're doing this in such a short period of time. This is incredible. Okay, so let's keep going because I want to make sure that everything gets out. Let's talk about the next step or in your thought process.
Okay. So, and do we have enough time? I thought we was a half. I'm ready to go.
No, let's keep going. I want to get this. I want to get this.
Good. You can't shut me up. I'll go forever.
So, I'm loving this. I know everybody else in LCA is too. So you're welcome, everybody. We're almost done.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So once again, it's really about engaging people, and we talk about rapport. You don't have, some people, well, I'm kind of shy. That's not my thing or whatever. Okay, I get it. You can be shy. I have a lot of energy, right? Some people don't like that, but I will change my rapport to deal with them. Once again, you might have someone coming that's kind of analytical, and I'll be, and I talk the way that they talk. If they're, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, high five. Thanks for coming to the open house, blah, blah. If they're quiet, they're more analytical. I say, okay, well, what do you think about this? Okay, let's talk about, let me show you this or whatever, and then that's how I basically have that rapport. There's a whole thing we can talk about, and there's a lot of videos on rapport and how to, engage people and have the right kind of conversations with them to have them feel comfortable with you. But you just want to be someone who's adding value. Your job is to add value. Every conversation you have, whether it's your sellers, your buyers, your clients, your leads. And that's why knowing the inventory is huge also, because someone say, I'm looking in these 4 neighborhoods. Oh, there's another one coming on, at this town or whatever 2 weeks from now. Or ask them when their dreams are. Ask them about, what their time frame is. Oh, great. Oh, you're not really going to buy till next year. That's fine. I love staying in contact with people and giving them information, having them do their homework now. One of the people I'm working with right now, one of the families, they started looking in 2020 and they're finally ready to buy. So we've been in contact, and whatever collateral you have for your buyer timelines and whatever, and obviously mortgage broker, have that too, give it to them. And then, just have conversations. This is your store. You opened it up. So make the best of it.
Oh, this is killer. And Paul, so I've been monitoring the questions, and you already answered one of them, but the other one, this is kind of next step, and it's whoever it is. Thank you. It says anonymous attendee. So we don't bite. Don't worry. You don't have to be anonymous. But the question is, what do you do after the open house to see them again? Okay, so I guess after you connect, like, what's your follow-up look like that way?
So remember, I'm not there to steal anyone's clients. I am not. If you have an agent, I am fought, but I'm okay. I'm so glad you're working with Susan. I'm so glad you're working with Maureen. I'm so glad you're working. Great. They're awesome. If they have any questions, great. I'd like, it's no big deal. And I follow up with that agent. Oh, your client came. So that's just agent communication. So once again, I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. And I want to be clear about something also. My fiduciary responsibility, my number one responsibility is to sell that home. But everything I'm talking about, having the information, engaging people, whether it is through neighborhood stuff or giveaways, whatever, that's helping to sell the house. All I'm doing is I'm kind of showing people my service who might want to work with me in the future. But my goal is to sell that house. So what do I do afterwards? Well, basically I have information now of these people. Once again, I check in. How was the open house here? Oh, you didn't go to anything else? This was the last open house. Is it okay if I contact you about X, Y, and Z? And just basically keep a conversation. But what I know is when I write notes is I say, this is what's important to this person. So then I check in and say, you know what? Someone told me there's going to be a place that has a huge backyard and a 2-car garage coming up or whatever. I have the inside track on that. So let me talk to you about this. Have you, hey, we only had a quick conversation. I apologize. I really want to spend more time talking to you and understanding. And then of course, whether you sit down or you go out with them to a listing, but let them know that you really thought about that, because you remember, they think you're too busy for them. They think, oh, you're going to sell the house and you're going to open up your coffee and you're going to sit back. Or no, let them know you're the most important person at that open house at that time.
Wow. I think that's huge. And taking it from a connective standpoint and really engaging with them in a meaningful way, taking the notes and paying attention, but then really being intentional with the follow-up, I think is key and crucial. Do you have any particulars? I mean, do you like phone calls, text messages? Is it like DMs on social? Like how do you determine, Paul, how to communicate with the individuals that you're engaging with after the fact? I guess
I'm a phone call guy.
I'm
a total, and if they don't answer, then I shoot them a text. Say, hey, I just left you a voicemail. I'm sure you're tired after a day of open houses or whatever. You told me about X, Y, and Z. Good. I hope the Little League game was fun. I hope you guys want whatever it is. Make sure to add that little in there. But then if I don't get it, then it's a text. And then of course the leading questions is, hey, can we connect tomorrow? Can we connect? Whenever. Can I have some time here? Can we talk? So, try to nail down a time with them by saying, I have some time to do it, not just, oh, feel free to call me whenever. That's standard, but I usually like to nail down the time.
Oh, that's fantastic. And again, everybody who's tuning into this live, I appreciate the questions. Keep them coming in if you got anything. So Paul, did we want to cover sellers or any other additions? I know we're a little over, but your information is incredible. So do you want to go through a couple things? Okay.
So as far as the seller is concerned, you're already doing your job. And then I stay in contact with my sellers. Even then, I'm able to sneak out. I was in the basement. I was just showing people the basement. I'm texting them. The open house is packed. And then remember, they might have spies coming to your open house. Don't think they don't,
Ooh.
right? Don't think about two things, whether you're a buyer or a seller at any time. Number one, you're being watched. You're on camera no matter what. You should think about this no matter what. But even if you're the seller's agent, there's no cameras inside. Just feel like there might be spies somewhere. Alexa might be listening or something. So obviously you don't want to say anything that's going to get you in trouble, whatever, but you also want to make sure that you are, that when you're talking to people, even though they're no tire kickers, they might be in there as not a spy, but a neighbor. Oh, Paul was great. He was talking to these people. And then of course, the one thing about knowing the neighbors is if you have them stick around, you go, oh, Joan here lives next door. She'll tell you all about the great skating rink or the playground or whatever. And then you make a joke like, oh yeah, her husband's got a great lawnmower. If you don't have one, he'll come mow your lawn, all that kind of stuff. But as far as the sellers are concerned, you're just going to make them feel good and your energy and everything else. And then, when you get to the open house or when you see them a half an hour before, help them clean up and help them do whatever, and then say how excited you are. And then afterwards say, you know what, I got to call a couple of people. I'm going to check in the open house. We had this many people, whatever, be proud of it. And then, and they want to know. So definitely stay in contact with them. Because once again, an agent that doesn't give them feedback immediately, they're like, what happened? How was the open house? Can I come home? All of that, so definitely be energetic and be complimentary. Thank you so much for cleaning the house. They loved, that cleaning of the closet really helped because they were amazed at how much room there was in your closet.
Oh, I love that. The communication and understanding and all the insight that you have, Paul, over all these years. It's just so many details out there. And there's no exaggeration. This truly is a masterclass of really conducting an ultra productive, successful open house and growing and scaling business. And questions are flooding in. Another anonymous attendee. So I don't know if it's the same anonymous attendee or if it's somebody else, but this is an interesting question, Paul, and it's talking about what would you do for new construction? And then the specificity was on a side road with less traffic. So gotcha. I guess, how would you do something similar for new construction?
So if it's new construction, hopefully we're talking about a home that actually you can walk into without the hard hat and all of that. So I'm figuring it's a finished house.
I'm assuming that too. And whoever asked the question, if we're not right on that, please correct. But that's what I'm assuming too, Paul.
Okay, so it doesn't have the whole seller touch about, okay, what I love about this house. Right? Mm-hmm. You can ask the neighbors when you knock on their door. They want to see the new construction house. They want to see the farmhouse kitchen that they have. So they've been nosy neighbors. That's a house they want to get into. So when you ask them to knock on their door and say, hey, I'm having a neighbor's open house. Can you tell me a couple of things you love about the street or you love about the neighborhood, or pick their brain about it? Of course, you want to talk about the contractor or the developer or whatever, and go through that list of the materials they used and what they did, and photos of the layering of the floors and the mason and all of that. That is what we love about this house. And then they also built this house on 123 Main Street, drive by that house. The buyer who bought that house loves it or whatever. So all of that, so you have that information about, because what do buyers think when it's new construction? What has the seller done? Is this house going to fall apart? All of that. So make them feel good about the seller, and then the neighborhood and all of that. You want to know a great luxury home thing to do, especially on a cul-de-sac? Go to like a local Maserati dealer, right? Go to the local Maserati dealer. Ask a salesperson, say, listen, how about you come over, do this for the neighbors too. And do a little test drive. How about a little test drive? Have the Maserati on the side road and whatever, free test drives, right? So Maserati gets there. This is the new whatever. I don't know anything about Maseratis because I drive it. Here's the new SZ50 electric car or whatever. Everybody wants to drive it, right? Do the couple of test drives, do it for the neighbors, do it for whatever. And then that salesperson Why wouldn't they not do that? You know, I don't see a reason. They have their own, they do this all. So whether it's Maserati or something else, let's say it's a country house, maybe it's a new Jeep or a Bronco or something like that, that luxury thing, you know, is great. It's a different idea. And it's also connecting with that other vendor, whether it's, you know, whoever it is, you know, something. Pay the kids to have a lemonade stand somewhere in the neighborhood, you know, and pay for all of it, say free lemonade, you know, there's so many ideas, no matter what the kind of property it is.
Endless stuff. That was a huge answer to that question. And yes, they did state, yes, it's finished house. So it's spot on, Paul, when it comes down to that. And again, from, you know, Maseratis to lemonade to ice cream. I mean, the list of these things go on and on, Paul. And this is just really scratching the surface of what, you know, can be done or should be done in a tactical standpoint for open houses. Is there anything else that you want to touch on or close with before we wrap it up today?
Well, I just want to say thank you. And I will tell you, I love talking about business. I love talking, and you probably have, when I'm talking to the participants, a million ideas for me. But, and I'd love to hear yours, because I get a conversation. If I have a conversation with you, I'm going to learn something from you. So I'm ready to give back. I will talk to you about what we do. I can send you examples of what we do, also what I do, and then, you know, brainstorm. If you can text me on my, can I give you my number, or should I not do that?
Yeah.
Right
Oh
now?
Gosh. Yeah. Give the number. Are you kidding me?
All right.
Absolutely.
I hope my phone blows up after this. So 617-694-0004.
This is incredible.
I don't know.
The fact that you're so giving of your knowledge and information, and obviously the follow-up and collaboration, it's massive. It's an honor from LabCoatAgents standpoint to have somebody of your caliber take the time and really pour into the community as you've done. And I encourage everybody, please reach out to this man, follow him on all social platforms, show him some love, reach out, resource, mastermind, and collaborate. That's what it's all about here at LCA. But Paul, it was truly an honor and a pleasure, my friend, taking the time with you today. I learned a whole lot, and I know that everybody else did too. So this was big stuff.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, don't hesitate. Once again, don't hesitate to text me, call me. Even if you're a new agent, I can give you strategies on how to do it also. And then I hopefully you guys, once again, I'd love to, you ask me a question, I'm going to pick your brain too. So be prepared.
This is great. Everybody out there in LabCoatAgents world and nation, thank you so much for taking the time as always. We look forward to catching you on the next live webinar. Another incredible topic and an incredible guest speaker. So again, thank you for your time and attention, love and support as always. Once again, I'm Greg Fowler, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Take care. See you, Paul.
Thank you.